Hi, everybody. This is Philip Martin, and this is On Film for April 29th, 2022. Um, does anybody else hear that hum? That kind of, 60 cycle hum going on here? I don't know. I hope it's not affecting the video. It shouldn't affect me. Anyway, we are, they say, back at pre-pandemic levels in theaters as far as cinema going, which is interesting. 2019 was not that great a year, so it's not like, theaters are booming, but they're back to pre-pandemic levels. And I just saw a minute ago that Dr. Fauci has announced that we are no longer in full-blown pandemic mode, so I guess we're just in epidemic mode. I mean, cases are actually going up here in Arkansas, and I'm still wearing a mask when I go places. Very few people are, but there you go. I would if I went to the movies. I'd certainly wear a mask, but I would also go to the movies. So, well. Anyway, so that's good news. I mean, and it's interesting that this week the big movie, and I say that kind of because the only movie, as far as I can tell, that's opening in local theaters is Liam Neeson's Memory. That's right, Memory. And I thought this might be an interesting film, and it may be. I have not seen it yet. I'm a kind of a Liam Neeson fan. I really did like him a lot before he started on this Jerry Action track, I guess around 2009 or 2008, whatever Taken came out. I mean, I think these are fine movies, but they're not. They're formula movies, and they're okay if that's what you're looking for. I think that there's a higher and better use of Liam Neeson, but he doesn't care what I think. So, there you go. Liam Neeson and I have an interesting history together. I was once mistaken for him. Really. You see the resemblance? I don't really, but I was mistaken for him. It was in the peninsula in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, actually. And one of the reasons I was mistaken for him was because he was known to be there at the time. In fact, I was going to interview him for a movie whose name I have totally forgotten. And I guess it must have been before 2008. Maybe not. It had to be before Taken. Anyway, seriously, a couple of people really thought I was him. We are almost exactly the same size, which means Liam Neeson is a hair over 6'2", and probably a good bit under 190 pounds, even though I've seen him, I've seen his stats giving it something more than that. Now, I'm happy to be at under 190 pounds, but, anyway. But I interviewed him. He's a very intelligent, as most actors are, a very intelligent, thoughtful person. I think you kind of have to be that to be an actor. I think you do have to really, have something going on up there, contrary to the Alfred Hitchcock idea that actors are just so many pieces of meat you move around. Whether Hitchcock actually believed that, I don't know, but it certainly flatters the director's role in making a motion picture. Anyway, so Liam Neeson and John Denver, those are the two celebrities I've honestly been mistaken for. And both times there was, like a reason for the people who suspected me of being the other guy to think that the other guy was in the vicinity. It was like, the peninsula where Liam Neeson is in a little while is going to be holding a press conference and doing some interviews, and I was there. They thought I was, Liam Neeson. John Denver, it was at the very opening of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In fact, it was at the very first concert for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which was held in Cleveland Municipal Stadium, the Mistake by the Lake, in 1995. And I've told this story before, but I had several young ladies who were convinced I was John Denver, and I was not telling them I was John Denver, and they were going to annoy me all night, and it was not great. But anyway, um, so if you look at a picture of Liam Neeson and a picture of John Denver, and you wonder how one person could be mistaken for both of them, I have no answer. I really don't. What we've been doing throughout COVID, and I've talked about this a lot, is like our weekly movie thing that we, at least once a week, we will sit down here at the house and I will pull a movie out of the collection over here, the Criterion collection, or I will pull it off of our digital collection, or I will find it just out there streaming, and and I admit that, like anybody else, left to my own devices, I kind of go to certain places. I'll go to gritty crime dramas from the 70s, Friends of Eddie Coyle, Dog Day Afternoon. I'll go to Apocalypse Now. I'll go to The Conversation. I'll go to The French Connection. I'll go, later on, I'll go to Miller's Crossing. I'll go to Coen Brothers movies. I'll go, we all have our favorite films, and those avenues that we like to explore and that we feel comfortable in. And just recently, the most recent one we did was a brand new movie, or actually fairly new. In fact, it may still be in theaters some places. I don't think it's in theaters here. The Outfit, the Mark Rylance movie, which really did just come out, last month or something? And I was interested in it because, I'm interested in Mark Rylance. I'm also interested in Graham Moore, who hadn't done a movie since The Imitation Game, which seems hard to believe. So 7 years between movies, 6 years between movies, whatever. And that's a long time in Hollywood. I don't understand how these people... I've got friends who live in Hollywood and work in Hollywood. And every day they go down to the office. They have an office, all of them. And they sit there and they don't have anything. They're waiting for projects. Or maybe they're trying to get some money together to pitch a project to do this. Oh, it drives me crazy. I'm the kind of person that needs to have something that I'm working on right now that's going to pay off like next week. Now I can do some longer term stuff. I can do some, but I need that week to week, day to day almost gratification of having done something. But my friends in Hollywood, that's just not the way the business works. So you can sit around for years waiting for a project to come together, waiting to get all the stars aligned so you can get everybody in there to film. It's just a nerve-wracking business as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, Graham Moore had not made a movie since The Imitation Game. And to be honest, I wasn't that big a fan of The Imitation Game. It was fine. But, it wasn't like something that blew me away and knocked me out. It wasn't. But I am interested in Rylance, and I was interested in some of the reviews that I read of this piece. I don't really remember. It's funny, because I don't really remember. I think that we gave it a positive review, but I don't think it was over-the-top review. I think Piers did it. I could look this up. But it doesn't really matter, because... an admission maybe against interest is that I love to read critics. I love to read their reviews of films. But I don't generally let their reviews influence what I'm going to see. I take what they say and I go, okay, we'll see for myself. It's just that's the way it is. Now, I have been warned off of films, but those were generally the kinds of films I wasn't inclined to see anyway. And I've had very few times have I been convinced to go see a movie that I wouldn't have seen it otherwise by a film review. But the film reviews, I'll read anybody's review of anything, and I just love to read them, which is one of the reasons that I think that the section is valuable, even though a lot of you don't go to movies at all, or hardly at all, because you're sitting at home watching them on your streaming services. You may not see the new movies when they come out. That's fine. Nobody does anymore, I don't think. But anyway, so I was interested in because of a couple of things. Number one, it's Mark Rylance, who's a wonderful actor, and I like to watch him work. And number two, it's a kind of a stage piece. It's set in basically one set, and part of that was due to COVID that they had to film it the way they had to film it. And it's got a limited number of actors. Zoe Deutsch, who is Jennifer Jason Leigh's daughter, and I think is just wonderful. I'm waiting for her to get a really good part. This was a pretty good part, but I'm waiting for her to get a really good part. And more. I mean, it just seemed like it was, it was a little drawing room drama, and it had something to do with Savile Row and men's. You can tell. Actually, you can't tell, but I actually would like to wear a suit every now and then. Maybe I should dress up for these videos. Maybe that's what I'll do. Because I've got a closet full of suits over here. I gave like 20 suits away when we moved. I still have that many suits left. And I never get to wear them anymore because the nature of my business has changed, and then COVID hit, and so, I'm slumping around in goblin mode all the time. All right. Anyway, the setup of this movie, it's kind of a puzzle film. It starts out in an exclusive, bespoke tailor shop in Chicago in 1956. And all we know at the beginning is that there's this British tailor, Leonard Rylance, and he's, in proper stiff upper lip British mode, kind of like he was in Bridge of Spies, which was his big kind of commercial breakthrough a few years ago. And he's got the shop, and he's got Zoe Deutsch, who's much younger than him, of course, as his, assistant, secretary. Maybe she's his apprentice. She's learning the trade. She answers the phone for him. She, does little things. So and they very quickly evolves. They had this very kindly relationship toward each other. They obviously like each other a lot. It's not romantic. It's more of a father-daughter sort of thing. But she's not his actual daughter. I mean, that comes into play later. Leonard left Savile Row after World War II because he says nobody there could afford fine men's clothes anymore. The shorthand for this is blue jeans. It's the blue jeans, kind of drove him out. But which is actually kind of interesting because I don't know if blue jeans were an established. I think that may be slightly anachronistic. I don't think blue jeans in the early 50s in Britain. Now, they were coming in the United States with teenagers, but I don't think it was the exact same thing. But leave that beside. Okay, he comes there with nothing, and he starts over in this tailor shop, and we get, after a while, the version of, his shop burned, his wife and daughter died, so he came and, he started over in Chicago after some tragedy. Okay. And he's a pragmatic man. The first guy he meets when he gets to Chicago, or the first guy he met, because this happens off camera, what happened to be a mob boss. And he made a suit of clothes for this guy, and he gained his trust, and now the gang is using Leonard's tailor shop as kind of a clubhouse, and it's also where the people come to pay the protection money. They just walk in and drop an envelope in the drop box in the back of the shop. Okay, it's that's just part of what he does. He just while he's working, the boss's son Richie comes in, and he comes in with Francis, his thing, and they banter a little bit with Leonard, kind of in a disrespectful way, but not, because I know they can't really mess with him because he's, their dad's guy. He's the boss's guy, and Richie flirts with Mabel. That's Zoe Deutsch, and we find out that Mabel, and Richie have a thing going on, and we find out that there's a problem. That somebody has been bugging the gang, and the way they know this is because the FBI, put a bug in there, and the way they know this is because the outfit, which is this amorphous coast-to-coast mafia network. They don't say mafia, but that's kind of what it is. Organized crime, which is considering, this local gang, this local Irish gang, for, to be an affiliate member. It's sort of like a fraternity or something. They're thinking about pledging with the outfit. Okay, so the outfit has tipped them off that they have a problem. The FBI is bugging them. 2, they have a rat who put the FBI up to this, and they are excited because the outfit has provided them with a copy of the tape recording of where they've been bugged. So they're thinking they can play this tape recorder, which is not something, it's like 1956, so you can't just pop it into, it's a weird cassette, so you have to have special equipment to play it. So you can't just pop it into your car or anything like that. You have to make arrangements to play it. So it's like it can lay there on the table for a while and be threatening. But the assumption is that once they play the tape, they'll figure out who the rat is, where they've been bugged, and they'll be able to take care of their problem. Okay. Some other things. Mabel is the daughter of some thug. We don't know exactly what his relationship was, but the gang people know of his father. She refers to him as trash. Maybe not in those words, but she refers to him as kind of, and she sees Leonard as her surrogate. And more than anything else in the world, she wants to get away from Chicago, from the life she's led, from all these people who are like Richie, her lover. And Leonard would love to see her get away. He would love to see her see the world. But he also is torn because he really wants her to stay and learn the business and take over the shop after he's retired. Mabel doesn't really see it that way. So what happens is that you have a limited cast. You have Richie, and you have Francis. And Francis is the interloper. He's the one that took 6 bullets, 6 marbles in their colorful vernacular, for the boss. And so the boss sort of treats him like an adopted son, like the bastard son, like the unacknowledged heir, And Richie feels that, it's like, why does my dad trust this guy so much? Why I'm the rightful guy. There's a resentment there. Meanwhile, Francis thinks that Richie's soft, that he's not very smart, that he's impulsive, and that he's a coward. There's a incident where Richie and Francis get ambushed and Richie's shot, and so he brings him back to the tailor shop, and they're all going to wait there. He's also got the case with the recording in it. They're going to wait there until his dad gets there, and then they're going to sort all this out. And of course, that's not what happens. Of course, things go off in all kinds of different directions, and alliances are made and broken between all these people, because we have a sense that one of these people, somebody in this room, is the rat. Is it Mabel? Is it Leonard? Is it Francis? Is it Richie? And what's fun about a movie like The Outfit is that even though the setup sounds, it sounds like a game of Clue. It sounds like, one of those mystery things. It's really not predictable at all. I mean, toward the end, you sort of get, okay, I know what's going to happen eventually. And this may be a case where it goes on, one ending too long, like a Spielberg movie, but I don't know. I mean, it's sort of like, I kind of like the way it played out. It's only 106 minutes long. I love the claustrophobic feel to it and the sort of theatrical, as in stage, sort of blocking that they do and the way the characters talk, the acting, the level of the acting. It's all just really good. The clothes are really good. If you're somebody who sinks into the details of a movie, it's a really good movie. I'm not sure it's not one of the best movies I've seen this year. Not that I've seen. It's very early in the year. I mean, but it's like, yeah, would this be on my top 10 list? Yeah, right now it would. Right now it would. It's got that little something to it, a little juice. And part of it is just Rylance's performance, and part of it is Zoe Deutsch, who's very good too, as is everybody. I forget who plays Francis. It's a British actor, Johnny something. Johnny Flynn. And they're all really good. And they're all doing this slightly stylized. I mean, it's not exactly the way real people would talk. It's not naturalistic. But it's just a fun evening. It's a fun 106-minute movie. And it flies by. And you're never secure in your guesses. You might go, I think, but you're not sure. And it keeps you off balance. And it's really, really well done. And it made me feel a kind of thrill that you don't get often at the movies anymore. And that I really was surprised. I really sort of gave myself over to it, which is what movies can do. Because what you're going for, I think, is not this intellectual experience. You're going for transport, to be taken away from your life and put in some other body's life, some other person's life, for just a little while. And it's really good at that. And it does it in such an economical way with these limited resources. I just, I really highly recommend it. And that's the most recent movie that we saw on our movie night. Now, this week, like I said, we have the Jerry action movie Memory. Okay, we've got that. If you want to see it, go see it. If not, maybe The Outfit's still out there. I'm not sure. The Northman, big, gory, epic, brutal. What's not to love? And I'm going to have to go see The Bad Guys. The Bad Guys is something that almost slipped past me, but the reviews have been intriguing. It's the kind of animated thing I like, and it's sort of like the Michael Bay movie that just came out. It does make a character of downtown Los Angeles, which is a underserved city. I mean, underrepresented city in considering how many movies are shot there. And I'd recommend Los Angeles Plays Itself, the documentary film. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. All you prospective movie critics out there, if you haven't seen it, that's your homework assignment. I've got a big long essay in Sunday's paper about cinematic literacy, like we talked about last week. And I'm going to cut it off because I'm almost 25 minutes in. I don't know how we got there, but I can see the timer, and I know what your attention span is. So until next week, we'll see you at the movies, or whatever. Yeah, I'll come up with a catchphrase later.